Murray and their incredible robots for being our greeters tonight. Let's give them a hand. The board met in closed session to discuss employee discipline, dismissal, release, personnel issues, and possible litigation. No action was taken. I'd like to call to order the regular meeting for March 13th. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, led by our student member, Brody.
Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll have a moment of silence. Thank you. Move on to item number 1, adoption of the agenda. Any changes?
No changes.
Item 2, approval of minutes of the special meeting of February 13th and the special and regular meeting of February 20th. Any changes, corrections? These minutes will stand. Move on to item 3, programs and presentations. Item 1, Magnet School curriculum update, and Dr. Safko? You were hiding back there. I got that light right there, so. Yeah, well, yeah, it's just right there.
Jenny, can you help us with the clicker? It's not advancing slides.
Well, it might help if I turned it on. There we go. Good evening. It's my pleasure to present to the board an update on our district reorganization. So a little background. This work began in the fall of 2023. The district reorganization timeline was developed based on the impending closure of James Monroe Middle School. So in October 23 through 24, we held a Facilities and Programs Advisory Committee to determine the most viable configurations for our district reorganization. In January through April 2024, which seems like a long time ago, but it was really just over our shoulder, right? The board provided direction, and this was the direction. We were going to locate all of our 7th and 8th graders at one junior high, which has now been named China Lake Junior High. We recommended that, and the board approved, that the elementary sites were going to now include 6th grade in their grade span. And what I'm really excited to talk to you tonight about is the magnet school focus at Pierce, which is VAPA, and then STEM at VUIG. So the work that's been done up to this point, especially for our magnet schools, is we have convened a good amount of different advisories. And then this winter and fall, we began working on specific magnet schools. So middle college program within High Desert, Pierce Academy of the Arts, and then VUIG STEM Academy. So tonight's focus is again going to be on the STEM program and then the VAPA program. So I think that working through various advisories has been really rewarding. I think it's really created an opportunity to bring many educational partners with a lot of unique perspectives, and that has allowed us to leverage our collective expertise and also creativity, which I'm excited to share tonight. In our work, we decided to build shared knowledge and then explore and identify anything feasible for the programs that we're going to be offering in the fall, and then eventually to develop recommendations for program and implementation to our district reorganization committee. So beginning with the VUIG STEM Academy, we started with the definition of what STEM is, because we might mention STEM and not really truly know what it is. So of course it's science, technology, engineering, and math. And really, it encompasses many processes of critical thinking, analysis, collaboration, and processes and concepts really in the real world context so that our students create meaning in their learning. This slide, I would say, really sets the foundation for our thinking around both of our magnet schools. So taking from the Innovate Blueprint for STEM in 2014, the most effective STEM education takes place in an expanded, informal, and K-12 regular day instruction where those concepts are integrated. What we take as a best practice with those three elements is we create an ecosystem as a best practice. So this is our first draft of our literal STEM ecosystem at ViewWig STEM Academy. So let's start on the left. For the regular school day, our advisory recommended STEM integration into the core, so that's English, language arts, math, science, history, etc. And we recommended, and a district instructional materials review committee actually met this afternoon to recommend to the board, that'll be next month, the Project Lead the Way program and curriculum. And we're really excited because this will allow our district to have an entirely vertical articulation from elementary all the way to high school. So if I'm a little, as we say, in elementary and I get to study some medical concept or a bio investigator, that can eventually lead me into my interest in health careers at Burroughs High School. So it's exciting. So another part of an ecosystem is expanded learning, and that's where we're getting very creative, and our community has really shown up for Sierra Sands. So expanded learning really takes place in before school programs and after school programs and through partnerships. And so we have already had a meeting with the China Lake Museum, and we're partnering with them because they have some funding for education programs. We're going to be offering some coding in after school and before school, some robotics. We're also going to look into STEM sports. Doesn't that sound exciting, Mr. Campbell? So all kinds of expanded learning opportunities, so that way we can, while our students are in our programs, they can stay on campus and really extend their learning into the afternoon. And then finally, informal learning opportunities, and that's really seen through our community partnerships, where we'll have opportunities for guest speakers or field trips in the community. So what is our plan for our STEM school? So we are using a tool called a Criteria for Quality STEM or STEAM programs developed by San Diego County Office of Education. And our aim for the first year is STEM for all. That sounds simple, but it's not, right? So we want to offer that ecosystem to all of our students. We want to create access for all. And actually, that's where many schools and programs kind of exist, but that is not sufficient for Sierra Sands. We want to scale up, so we want to move into STEM focus in the second or third year, and then finally, STEM exemplar. Why? Because we're a STEM community, and that should be our promise to our community and future employers. So we're very excited about that. So what are the next steps, quite literally? We have our wonderful Laura Herbert, our coordinator of secondary education, and current principal, Marina Amador, future principal of STEM Academy, applying for a Project Lead the Way grant. As I mentioned, we held a district instructional materials review committee today to recommend the adoption of Project Lead the Way. We're going to purchase Project Lead the Way materials. We're going to then establish a smaller TK8 STEM integration team where they're going to work together to find the intersection points in our instructional map and curriculum, again, to integrate those STEM concepts. We're going to continue to develop community partnerships, our expanded learning programs, and then we're excited about conducting STEM school site visits to get inspiration and best practices. And then this summer, we'll be providing professional development specifically in Project Lead the Way. All right, let's move to Pierce Academy of the Arts. This is also extremely exciting because our community has been a significant supporter of the arts. So what is VAPA? It's everything creative. So it's creating, performing, and responding and connecting as foundations of the program. And it includes dance, music, theater, and visual arts. You're going to see a familiar theme here. A best practice in VAPA is integration of the arts. So very similar to STEM, but focusing on all those elements of creativity into the curriculum. And here is our VAPA ecosystem. So let's start on the left. As I mentioned, the best practice is to integrate that into the core. We'll also have, I forgot to mention this, we have hired a VAPA TOSA, so that person will coordinate all of our integration and learning on campus. We are applying or have applied for a Turnaround Art Grant. Is a nonprofit organization that supports arts in California and throughout the country, actually. And so we hope to be working with them if our grant application gets approved to do that work similar to Project Lead the Way. Same concept, expanded learning, so really working with our community to provide those enrichment experiences such as dance or art or visual arts. We already offer music, as you know. And then finally, informal learning with our community partners, one of which would be Burroughs High School and our other strong community partners there. Really excited about that. And this may look familiar to you because in that quality criteria for quality programming, there's actually an art component, right, in STEAM. And so it's the same concept. We're going to start with VAPA for all and then move to a focus and then eventually to a VAPA exemplar. So as I mentioned, we're applying for the California Turnaround Grant. We will also establish a VAPA integration team. We're going to determine possible expenditures for our VAPA integration. We're developing our community partnerships. We're working on our expanded learning programs. We're going to conduct VAPA school site visits and then provide professional learning this summer so that our teachers and staff are ready to go. So we're just so excited. I hope I've said that 300 times because it's true. We're so excited. We want to deliver on that promise of innovation and choice for our community. And we're just very thrilled, and we feel supported by our board to go forth and just to offer this truly extraordinary opportunity to our community.
Thank you, Dr. Savko. Do we have any questions? Thanks again for your presentation. I have just one quick question. Are we going to put this on our website so the public has a chance to look at this great snapshot of?
Absolutely. It'll be embedded in the board packet, but what we can do is we can embed it on the specific VAPA site and VUIG STEM Academy. Absolutely.
Okay, great. Thanks again. We'll move on to item 4, public hearing. 4.1, public hearing on resolution number 2425, adoption of the district school fee justification study, and resolution number 2425, approval to increase and adjust school facilities fees. And Jennifer.
Good evening, President Scott, Superintendent Dr. Moore, members of the board, colleagues, and members of the community. I am Jennifer Hayden, Assistant Superintendent of Business and Support Services. And the public hearing tonight would be related to Government Code Section 65995 and Education Code 17620 to establish a maximum statutory fee that may be charged against development projects within the school district and authorizes the amount to be biennially adjusted for inflation as set forth in the statewide cost index for Class B construction as determined by the State Allocation Board, SAB, at its January or February meeting in even-numbered years. In order for a school district to assess an increase in Level 1 developer fees, it must prepare and adopt a facilities fee justification study, commonly known as a school fee justification study. The board must then conduct a properly noticed public hearing at a regularly scheduled meeting for public comment to be received in regard to the scheduled agenda items which recommend adoption of the 2024 school fee justification study and adoption of an increase in Level 1 developer fees to $5.17 per square foot for residential development and 84 cents per square foot for all categories of commercial and industrial development, except for properties that are classified as rental self-storage properties, which would decrease to 0.028 cents per square foot, and hotels and motels, which would be charged at 4.488 cents per square foot. The resolution adopting the 2024 school fee justification study and the resolution adopting an increase to the Level 1 developer fees can be found under the Business Administration section of the current board packet. There are no financial implications at this particular time, but it is recommended that the board conduct a public hearing on the proposed adoption of the district school fee justification study and proposed increase and adjustment of Level 1 developer fees as presented.
We don't need a motion, right? We can just open it, right? We'll just, with that said, we'll open it up for the public hearing on Resolution 2425. Having no comments, we'll go ahead and close public hearing. Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you.
We'll see you soon. Move on to item 5, reports and communications, 5.1 student members report. Brody.
From Murray Middle School. There have been a lot of exciting things going on at Murray Middle School, and we are continuing to focus on providing the best opportunities for our students. We are thrilled to announce that our robotics team has successfully qualified for the regional finals, which will take place this weekend. This is a huge accomplishment for our students and demonstrates their dedication and teamwork. We are incredibly proud of their hard work, and we look forward to seeing how they perform at the competition. The basketball season is coming to a close, with the final games being held this Saturday, March 16th at Saracoso. Our 7th grade teams, will be participating in a tournament, and we are excited to see how our student athletes compete. It has been a great season. We appreciate the hard work of our players, coaches, and families who have supported them. In preparation for high school, we are setting up targeted interventions for our math students. We are focusing on ensuring that all students are equipped with the foundational skills necessary for success in high school mathematics. These interventions will help address any gaps in learning and provide additional support for students who need it. As we approach state testing season, we are actively preparing our students to ensure they are ready to perform at their best. Teachers have been providing targeted instruction. We are working to create a supportive testing environment to help reduce anxiety and ensure that students can demonstrate their full potential. Our ASB continues to organize activities that build school culture and foster school spirit. Upcoming plans include a positive door decorating contest the last week of March and our Touch of Class dance that is scheduled for April 11th. The theme will be The Last Waltz. In collaboration with the Webb Group at Monroe, we have begun planning activities that will bring 6th and 7th grade students from Monroe to Murray. This initiative will allow students to familiarize themselves with our campus as they prepare for the transition to China Lake Junior High. We are excited about this partnership and the opportunities it will provide for our students. Thank you for your continued support of Murray Middle School. From Monroe Middle School. Not much time has passed since our last report, but that doesn't mean the Tigers aren't doing great things. The basketball season is winding down with the last few games this week. All 4 teams worked and played hard this season. You can see the growth they have made. Our PTSO continues to support James Monroe. We are looking forward to the special events they have planned for the spring. Coming up in the next few weeks, we will celebrate our students at the end of 3rd quarter for outstanding academics, athletics, and behavior. Our music programs begin showcasing their talents to the elementary schools and community with the music in our schools concerts. March is going to be busy with spring break rounding out the month. From Mesquite, back on the 28th, Mayor Endicott gave a special presentation about his life journey and engagement in local governance, which some students described as the best presentation this year. Thank you, sir, for sharing your time and insight with us. In lieu of prom, ASB is working on a field trip to help inspire student engagement and recognize academic achievement for those on track to graduate. The Women's Shelter did a presentation last month for Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month to help students better understand facets of healthy relationships and boundaries. Lastly, we have several students excited because they are on the cusp of their graduation. The third quarter wraps up in just a few weeks. We will soon celebrate a variety of achievements with our Spring Fling Barbecue. Go Dragons, show them how to soar. And from Burroughs. It's only been a short time since the last report, but Burroughs still has plenty to talk about this month. All of our spring sports are in season. Baseball is having a great preseason. Joaquin Vasquez pitched a no-hitter last week against Bishop Union in a 10-0 victory at their home opener. Track opened their season with invitationals at Ontario, Chino, and here at home, and started league competition against Hesperia earlier this week. Boys tennis is on a winning streak, dominating their opponents on the court. Swim did well at its first meet. Golf and softball are also doing well at the beginning of their seasons. As a final winter sports update, Javmin Abe was voted MVP for MRL in girls basketball. We have our spring rally next week, themed after our favorite hashtags. At the rally, we'll hold a drawing for seniors who improved on CAS scores last year. 25 seniors who improved at least one band on last year's CAS will win prizes, including a yearbook, tickets to prom and graduation, and gift cards. Prom court was announced on the 5th. Congratulations to the top 11 boys and girls. ASB will be holding their annual recruitment meetings on the 17th and 18th. March is Music in Our Schools Month, and that is clear at BHS. Our concert choir and Magic Girls are gearing up for the opening of the spring musical, Annie, with performances on March 21st, 22nd, 27th, and 28th, featuring cameo appearances from our district admin and school board. Many of our instrumental students just completed their SCSBOA solo and ensemble festival, with 13 of our students receiving the coveted Superior Command Performance rating. Robotics will be going to Bakersfield this Saturday to compete for the championship after some Zoom meetings with state championship judges. Spring break starts at the end of this month, and we hope students can use the time to rest and recover for the final stretch of the year. And we look forward to all the sports and activities in April.
Thank you, Brody. As we move on to item 5.2, reports from members of the board, please. I'd like to incorporate good things. I got so excited about the robotics out there that I skipped that. So if you have any reports, please add that to it as well. So. Mary? Nope. Mr. Rockwell?
Age before beauty, huh? Wow. Awful quiet in here. A couple things. It was awesome to hear the robotics. For all four, I heard today at the Superintendent's Council that all four have moved on to the state finals, and then that if they all do well, they go to Worlds in Dallas, Texas. And so we'll see what happens, but it seems like every year we send someone to the World, so that was awesome. And also enjoyed this weekend with several of us board members and Dr. Moore went to Riverside for the second governance class that we took, and had a good time and learned a lot of good things. So enjoyed it. Thank you.
Mr. Rockwell?
Yeah, so I did say a few things a meeting or two ago, kind of talking about my journey up here. But this is it. This is my last board meeting. You won't see me up here again. So I just felt like I should say again, thank you to the community for letting me do this for 18 plus years. And I think we've done a lot of great things, and I've worked with a lot of great people. So thank you all for that, and good luck in the future.
Thank you, Mr. Rockwell. I just have two words: March Madness. Looking forward to the tournament coming up. Okay, move on to item 5.3, Superintendent's Report. Dr. Moore.
Thank you, President Scott. Our month 6 enrollment is 4,854 students, and last year this time was 5,047, so that's down 193 from this time last year, and our attendance rate is 88.5. So we are actively exploring ways to increase attendance, reduce chronic absenteeism, which is when a student misses 10% or more of the school days. And our schools and our principals are thinking creatively and working with our parent groups and others to encourage full participation and attendance, and not only every day, but all day, because that adds into that. If students who leave early, it actually hurts the attendance rate, and it hurts their learning opportunities not being in class. Since the last board meeting, the Ridgecrest Chamber of Commerce included us in the annual Economic Outlook Conference, which provided an opportunity to share an update on our district reorganization with the community, and for Education Services Director Lisa Decker to share the need we have in our community to support our students and families experiencing poverty. I would like to thank her and Kristen Simpson, our Community Schools Coordinator, for their work in partnering with the nonprofit and government agencies in our community to integrate our resources in supporting our students, their families, and the greater community. So thank you, Lisa and Kristen. We also are watching the federal government changes and the U.S. Department of Education and watching that carefully and closely. In fact, this week, Assistant Superintendent of Business Services, Jennifer Hayden, was in D.C., met personally with Congressman Fong, with staffers from the senators, advocating for our schools and school financing, including impact aid. And as we watch the budget and the federal budget, these are things that we're watching carefully. That being said, we are not in crisis mode, and you'll see later more of our local situation, but I would like to draw attention locally to what is not happening tonight. We have not recommended any staff layoffs or reduction in force, which is remarkable for districts in California and the budget situation that we're in statewide. Many districts are moving to lay off permanent employees in order to balance the budget, and that is not our case tonight. Due to the careful budgeting and management of resources led by our Business Services Department and tremendous work by the team in our Human Resources Department led by Mr. Brian Ald, we're not recommending that any permanent staff be laid off tonight at tonight's meeting. That's certificated, classified, or management. And so I'd like to thank Mr. Ald and the entire leadership team for their work to ensure that our qualified staff members continue with us into next school year. And so later on tonight's agenda, you will see a second interim budget report that will be presented to you showing that we have positive certification, able to meet our expectations and responsibilities for this year and the next 2 years. Now, we're in declining enrollment, we're having attendance concerns, and we are still deficit spending as we adjust all of the budgets, but we're able to still meet those requirements using the reserves and being careful with all of that. I would also like to highlight my good thing for tonight is that Las Flores was just today announced as a Purple Star school, joining Richmond that started last year. And so we're very excited for Las Flores to be a Purple Star. And appreciate we have our school liaison officer from the base, Jessie Vasquez, here tonight. She's a big part of that and advocating and helping us connect to these resources and distinctions. So we're very excited. Good things continue to happen in our schools. And we're also thankful for the 6 community members who have applied to be considered for appointment to the Board of Trustees to fill Mr. Rockwell, the vacancy that is created with his resignation. And so we've run the applications and accepted those as of last Friday. Application review, interviews, and the possible appointment will take place at a special board meeting on Monday, March 17th at 6 p.m. at the district office. So I'm looking forward to that. And next week to attending the Kern County Legislative Days in Sacramento as we continue to advocate for our school district. It's a busy time and many exciting celebrations are also around the corner. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Moore.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
So just one comment on your report. So I don't know how many parents are out listening, and frankly, it's disappointing, but probably most of the parents that need to hear this aren't probably listening. But 88% attendance is terrible. That's the lowest that I've ever seen it in over 18 years. I know COVID had an impact. Pre-COVID, we were routinely up in the 96 to 98% range. So we've dropped a full 10% in attendance since then. The first thing that comes to mind is how much education is being lost by having kids not in seats in school to learn. What quickly follows that is, we get paid based on having those kids in seats. And so if we don't have them in seats, we get less funding, there's less we can do, to help the kids get a better education. So it's a compounding effect. So any of you that are out there that hear this, that are not making sure your kids are getting to school, please do something different. And if you have friends who have kids who are not getting to school, tell them to do something different, because somebody needs to make a change to make this better. We can do everything at the school sites to try to make it better, but if you're not getting your kids there, it doesn't really matter. So please, please, please do something if you can. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Rockwell. Move on to item 5.4, report to the Board of Trustees by the Desert Area Teachers Association. Ms. Poole.
President Scott, Superintendent Dr. Moore, board members, community, and colleagues. Okay, here I am. I really like the 6 o'clock start, but not during rehearsal. 7 o'clock was a little better. So I don't have my phone, and I'm dying. So I haven't been on it, and I'm bringing that up because I felt like, I just want to let you know, my mind can still wander even when I don't have my phone. And I think that's good, to know that I can be distracted without electronics. Gives me faith and hope. But I felt like in the report from the different schools, it sounded, unless I didn't hear the very first part, like something was said about madrigals in Annie. There's a lot more people than just madrigals in the school play. So madrigals are delightful people. They're lovely. There are a whole bunch more. And as mentioned, we have some boroughs admin, we have some school board members, district people. So I really highly recommend going. Tickets are $15, but I can get y'all some for a little more if you like. Okay, so not a heck of a lot to say. The data site visits are going really well, and I'm bringing this up to y'all again because I think it's really neat to know that when we have, I know we're kind of on opposite sides, right, on the table, but when we have a strong union, we get a nice tension, right? And I really believe, I thoroughly believe in unions, but I really think it brings out the best in both sides. And I think that's critical for us. And with the site visits, I'm able to have a lot more impromptu talks with principals, so there's this real nice thing going there. Teachers know, data's going to be on the campus on a regular basis, and there's just I feel like a level of comfort with teachers, and that just makes everybody more relaxed. And so I think it's really beneficial, and I just wanted to bring that up. Also, I just have to say that I think we want to be careful when we talk about why kids are absent. We sometimes don't have buses, so that is a bit of a problem. And I would just, as a teacher, I want my students there. I absolutely want my students there. It's really important. We, just had a discussion and then they missed stuff, but I just think we want to be really careful when we're saying who might be at fault for them not being there. We're 2 weeks away from spring break, which I think this year is 6 weeks, and I'm looking forward to that. So I wish y'all a good break.
Thank you. We'll move on to item 5.5, report to the Board of Trustees by the California School Employees Association. Sylvie?
Hello, School Board President, board members, Superintendent Dr. Moore, staff, and community. I feel like every month I stand here stating the same stuff over and over. We have a staff shortage. We continue to lose valuable employees, mainly due to our pay. We are far from being competitive with fast food, which is sad. Not that we don't need fast food workers, but what we really need are hardworking, dedicated employees working with our children, keeping our schools maintained, and feeding our children. CSEA's negotiating team has continued to meet with the district and continues to work towards a solution for our subpar pay scale. Our members continue to voice their concerns about the pay scale being overworked, as we have very little to no subs, and are down employees in various classifications. We need to make some big changes to our pay scale. We need the board to recognize the value of our classified staff. One big thing that has been stated over and over in my monthly meetings is how the classified staff feel neglected. Our CSEA members feel that when money is needed for this or that, we can find it, but when it comes to a raise for our classified staff who are already underpaid compared to other comparable districts, we have to fight tooth and nail for something. If we don't make changes to our pay scale, we will continue to have a staff shortage. Thank you.
Thank you. Move on to item 5.6, communications from the public. The board will provide time during the discussion of each agenda item for members of the public to comment. At this time, members of the public may address the board on an item not on the agenda. Comments should relate to items of public interest within the board's jurisdiction. The law prohibits the board from taking action on items not on the agenda. If appropriate, your comments will be referred to staff for response. When addressing the board, please state your name and limit your remarks to 3 minutes. In accordance with the board bylaws, the board will provide the total time for public input to 30 minutes. Those wishing to address the board beyond the 30-minute time limit may do so at the end of the scheduled meeting agenda. I'll open up public comment at 6:36.
Good evening. My name is Michelle Bruchot. I am a parent of an 8th grader and a sophomore, also a teacher, but I'm here as a parent today. I want to express my frustrations with district and recent policy changes that I feel are limiting our students. I encourage the district to rethink how the policies are affecting our students. The first of these is regarding summer school opportunities. My daughter was told earlier this week, a few days before they needed to turn in their course selections for next year, that students could no longer attend opportunities for learning to complete their PE or any other classes that they are trying to do to get ahead without unenrolling from Burroughs, enrolling in ops, and then re-enrolling at Burroughs, at which time their schedule would not be guaranteed. I was told that this was due to a California Ed Code, but every other year students have been allowed to do this, and I'm told because it was in the summertime where students were not in session that ADA was not being claimed, and they were able to be using that time by ops. They're offering PE at Burroughs this year, but little is known about what the course or workload is going to be, and the students were told it would be online, yet still in person for assessments, which does not work for everyone, whereas ops is very flexible in getting summer plans done. A lot of the 10th graders who have on their second semester of PE were relying on ops for continuing their education with their summer plans already made. It's not fair that the counselors at Burroughs were given this message to tell the students without having much more information to go on. And so they're being put in a bad situation and are going to have to work extra hard to unenroll and re-enroll if that is the case with the students. And I understand also that the district does get money for kids taking ops summer classes, so I'm not sure what the forcing of Burroughs summer school is. I just feel it's limiting the kids' opportunities, and as a teacher, specifically avid teacher, I plan to teach I teach the kids to plan ahead, thinking of their 4 years and to get the most out of their education, yet it becomes difficult to follow that plan once we are in the situation. We are finding that it's difficult to get Saracoso courses approved as well. That's the other issue that I'm having. It seems like there's roadblocks with getting any course that a kid wants to have. And I would like to think about allowing the students to be accepted to any Saracoso course that would allow their credit with a concurrent enrollment. I just don't want us to limit our students. They should be free to choose the best path for them with whatever opportunities we have. We have a lot of opportunities in the district, in this valley, and I think they should have that choice.
Thank you.
Has anyone told you how awkward this setup is? Okay. Okay, good. Just want to make sure we know. Hi, my name, hold on, let me get it open. My name is Alex Geiger. I'm the current project teacher at Fowler Elementary. And I didn't open this before I walked up here, but here we go. I'd like to show my support for our classified staff as they're negotiating this year. Our school simply cannot function without our classified staff, and we employ some really amazing human beings. My office manager is the type of person who handmade quilts for both of my babies, and she also makes sure Fowler runs really smoothly. Our attendance clerk is the type of person who was thoughtful enough to send me a sympathy card when my mother-in-law died and then when my grandma died a couple months later. But she also makes sure everything with attendance and now with the contracts, like she makes it run really smoothly. Our RSP para is the kind of person who will bake you a breakfast casserole to help you survive the first couple weeks of having a new baby at home. And she's also the kind of person who will help de-escalate students who are not even on her caseload and sit with them through their big feelings. Our classified staff deserve fair compensation. They're really valuable human beings, and we simply cannot function without them. And I support our classified staff in their negotiations. I also would like to take a moment to give a huge shout out to our amazing education services team, formerly known as Curriculum and Instruction. They work incredibly hard behind the scenes to make sure our district is set up for success, whether it's creating resources or mapping out instructional plans or designing assessments that help reflect what our students will see on the CASP. They are always thinking ahead and making sure that our teachers have what they need. To respond to the needs within our classrooms, they have started doing student-centered coaching. They're getting FaceTime with so many of our teachers. They're getting into the classrooms. They're offering support. They're working through so much with our teachers and helping them grow in a number of ways. The impact that they are making is being felt in real time, affecting the daily instruction of both our teachers and our students. They're providing resources that the teachers can implement right now, and they're making an immediate difference within the classroom. Personally, I've learned so much from our TOSAs, and I am incredibly grateful to have been able to learn from such a talented team. Our TOSAs have been fantastic mentors to me in my role as the project teacher. Their support and guidance has made such a difference in my growth, and I know that I'm not the only one that feels this way. Our education services team is truly invaluable to our district, and we are so incredibly lucky to have them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good to see you guys again. I wanted to.
What's your name again?
My name is Charles Williams, father in the community. But I wanted to thank Ms. Amy Self for meeting with me this week. I think it was last week actually, to discuss some of the issues that I had, and to share some of the ideas that I had. And I wanted to bring the name of a program that I couldn't remember because I had just got off of work when I showed up, and it was School Smarts. Is it School Smarts? Yeah, School Smarts. And it's really a program directly for the parents. It's not even anything that you guys would set up. It's where the parents will be educated on the proper process, because a lot of people, parents in particular, are going to the schools and they're talking to whoever, but there's a process for them to follow, and this program helps them. It's really not towards you guys, it's towards the people at home, but I wanted to bring that to the forefront. And also, since the last time I spoke to you guys about the curriculum, all of those theoreticals that I brought up have already been reached, and I really think that we need to start implementing artificial technology into a workable atmosphere, because most of those theoreticals and ones I couldn't get to have already been implemented. Even recently with robotics, a Japanese robot just pulled off I think it was a backflip, front flip. Yes, and also with that being said, the age of even ChatGPT, 12 hours after you've used it, it's already aged 25 years as far as its learning. So this is a tool that can not only help the kids with studying, it can also empower the workforce that I just heard the teachers complaining about that they have to pick up, where it creates an automated workflow. It shows them where there may be gaps in what they're working with and how they can effectively use it. And also, I want the kids to have it as a tool so that they can become more efficient in the workforce. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi there, my name's Sarah Ford. I am the parent of two sophomores at Burroughs. And I was debating whether or not I was going to get up here and say something, but I'm going to echo what Ms. Bruchot said about the implementation of some new policies and that was communicated to the kids this week. I have two very driven children, and when they went into Burroughs, they already knew what they wanted to do. We set up their curriculum just so, set up the summer, planned out the summers so that they could take the extra electives they were looking to be able to do, including the engineering classes, planned out exactly the honors classes, whether or not they were going to do AP, dual enrollment through the college, all of those things. And this last minute change to tell the students they were no longer able to have dual enrollment with the ops really puts a wrench in things as far as the girls' plans were concerned. To be told that they have to, again, unenroll from Burroughs to be able to enroll for their last semester of PE, of all things, at ops, and then re-enroll the week before school starts. I have great issue with that because now it will show on their transcripts, if they do that, a break in enrollment, which I worry about whether or not that will affect, what colleges will think when they're trying to get into schools. And then they're also on the cross-country team, and cross-country does start the first week of June. So now they're going to have to delay participating in Burroughs sports because they're not going to be a Burroughs student. Because they're going to be doing their 4 weeks of PE, right, to finish that out, just because they're going to be an ops student. Not to mention, I worry about the accounts that will be disabled, and then what's the level of effort that will have to be taken in order for their accounts to be reactivated or all of those things. It's not like there's a full staff waiting around during the summer to take these things into account. So now everything has to be taken into consideration for the last 2 years. My opinion is that these new policies should be implemented for the incoming freshman class, and the current students that have already started should be grandfathered in and allow them to continue out their plans through graduation. Thank you.
Thank you. See no other takers? No?
Hello, my name is Katie, and I wanted to start off by thanking Ms. Michelle Safko and Amy Self for meeting with Charles and I, both in person and over the phone. I truly appreciate the hard work you are doing in our school district. And today, again, like Charles said, we're more so here to speak for the parents. Like, if they're at home, like you said, and they're watching, hopefully that they will hear what we're saying. So in the past, we have shared our concerns with the council, but now it's time for the parents to step up. And I think it's very clear to all of us that there's a lack of engagement from parents in a lot of the schools in our district, and this isn't a blame game. I totally understand that times are tough and that a lot of us are struggling right now to find the time to get involved. While we need our district leaders to support us, they also need us to advocate for our kids. Recently, we discovered a program called School Smarts, and it's a leadership program designed to empower families to build effective partnerships with their schools. I'll admit I'm not very well versed with the school governance, but this program will equip us with the knowledge we need to communicate effectively with our district leaders. Ms. Safko did mention that she would bring it up to a meeting with everybody there, so hopefully you will also know what this program is about, and maybe we can share with the parents so that they can also look into it and see if it's something that they're interested. We do need their engagement because it's a PTA thing, so they need to have PTAs established in the schools, and from my understanding, not all of the schools in our district have a PTA or a PTO, so it will be very important for them to get educated on what a PTA is and what positives would be into that, like trainings, access to resources, and I hope that everybody understands that. We all understand that not everybody can volunteer, but we just need a handful of parents to volunteer a little bit of time to set up a PTA in the schools so that we can take advantage of that program, because School Smart seems to be like something that would really help us in the problems that we have in our district with the bullying and the educational concerns that we have. So that would be a really good thing, and hopefully the parents out there are listening and they will look into it and ask about it. So thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no other takers, I'll go ahead and close public comment at 6:52. Move on to, we have nothing in Educational Administration or Policy Review Committee. Move on to item 8, Personnel Administration. 8.1, approval of resolution number 23-2425, non-reelection of probationary certificated employees. Mr. Old, welcome.
President Scott, members of the board, Superintendent Dr. Moore, community and staff. California Education Code Section 44929.21 requires that the Board of Education shall notify a probationary employee in a position requiring certification qualifications of the decision to reelect or not reelect the employee to such a position for the succeeding school year. There are no financial implications. It's recommended that the Board of Trustees adopt resolution number 23-2425 to non-reelect employees as presented. Further information is in Exhibit A.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments from the board, staff, or community? And Brody, since this is a personnel item, I'm going to be excluding you. We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's unanimous. We have nothing in general administration. Item 10, construction administration. 10.1, report to the board, construction activities and issues. Mr. Moore.
President Scott, Superintendent Dr. Moore, members of the board, staff and community, good evening. I'm Jeff Moore, Director of Facilities, and this is our construction update. Mount Richmond, This is the old Richmond site, and the last month I showed you a picture of, we had grinders out there. This is nothing but a pile of rubble. That is all that's left of the old campus. The Naval Weapons Center asked us if we would, rather than paying many, many thousands of dollars of hauling off the debris, would we grind it down and let them use it however they see fit? So God bless them, they can have it. Next, this is a construction update, so let's talk about what's happening on our new school site. The classrooms are being fitted. I love this. See the orange circles covering those? I want to point out our safety system. Those that were on the Superintendent's Council walk earlier on the campus, I pointed this out so it's redundant to a couple of you. I love the security system we have for our fire and smoke alarm system. The way that it's being installed, we had to be very conscious of, sometimes we have to retrofit classrooms with fire alarm systems and strobe systems, not only audible but visible for people who use either sense more. And if a child can be triggered, even for a recessive triggering mechanism inside the child, that can come on, especially if one strobe goes off and another strobe goes off and they're not synchronized. And so the entire system is, I was talking to the technicians as they installed them earlier this week, specifically about those features, and I'm really proud that we're preemptively installing these to give the children the maximum benefit without the risk, and I'm really pleased that we're going that direction. I put the red box here on the side. We have several of those across the campus. These are actually, once upon a time, you see the lights on the left-hand side. Every classroom, every hallway would have to have at least the safety minimum standards to have battery backups built into the light systems. You usually would see a little red dot, and the technicians would have to check them periodically, a lot like we check our smoke detectors at home. However, this system is designed so that it is wired to specific light location. Every light that has this is a battery backup, and there are several across the campus. So nobody's going to be checking the tiny little battery on 100 separate safety lights. They're going to be checking these systems and being able to effectively test them regularly rather than individuals. We're going next gen. Another thing that I shared with some of the people on the tour today, we've been listening to the feedback. We've been listening to one teacher and I were talking today about the fact that she has more dirt in the playground than grass for the kids. We've been listening to this. And the new Richmond is one example of, we put a whole bunch of grass out there. Why are you putting so much grass? Because we've been asking for grass for the children. It's better for the kids to have lawn. We're trying. We're moving forward with these suggestions that we've gotten from the community, the parents, and the other teachers. So thank you. You know how hard it can be to turn this ship around. Well, we're doing it. And so please keep giving the feedback and being patient with, especially the facilities director. He's trying really hard. Speaking of light, I thought I'd throw that in. Speaking of lighting, notice there aren't any temporary light poles anymore. All right, we've got permanent, beautiful lighting out there. No more temp powers. These efficient lights are positioned for the best coverage on the campus. I showed you a playground, playgrounds being installed last month. Well, the playgrounds are completely finished. Some of us got to go out and jump up and down on the padded areas surrounding the playgrounds. It's built to absorb the boo-boo landings on our youngest, but I noticed some of our staff members actually jumping on the playground equipment. So I did check, and I'm not allowed to install a slide at the office. We'll work something else out. Carpeting is going in. Board Member Rockwell, I gave you a piece of carpet. Pass it down, that's okay. Now, this is for the classroom areas. This is not for the adaptive PE area. That takes a much more padding, a different type of floor covering. Some of the, let's see, the cafeteria and kitchen areas are gonna have a different type of flooring. And so they require much more complete acclimation in some of these rooms. This, we're gluing down. The adhesion is warrantable, and it will last. However, we have to, when I said acclimate, acclimation is a simple thing when you're just trying to cool the place, but we need gas for our gas heaters. And we have electricity. Many of you remember month after month, I kept telling you our switchgear was coming. Well, I'm here to tell you, last month I told you our gas meter was coming. Our gas meter has been delayed. Thankfully, it's not coming from overseas. And so we have started sending up signal flares as of this morning saying, hey, we're crying wolf. Let's get this gas meter so we can acclimate our classrooms and finish the construction job. We're working on it, and you say you can't fight City Hall. I'm begging City Hall to fight for us, and let's everybody do what we can, and let's get PG&E to move forward with us. Previously, I also showed you these awnings. A great question came up on site. Well, are these awnings going to radiate heat toward the children? No, it's going to shield the children, actually, and I'm loving the coloring that we're doing for the elementary children on campus. Something can remind them that they went somewhere that felt excellent when they were in elementary school. They're not going to remember what a nice place it looked and the care we took making sure that the concrete was this and the steel was that. They're just going to remember a level of excellence when they were in elementary school, and perhaps that'll help them keep their bars up for what they expect out of life and themselves as well. Now here's another shot of the awnings, just to point something out. This is the front entry, and as you can see, the top part of the awning, that's just bare raw, like the raw end of a timber table or something. We're actually on several of these. We're putting something called a soffit across the front. It's another level vertical that will keep the rain from coming and pouring down on people because we get rain all the time here at Ridgecrest, right? Well, I put that in my notes to be sarcastic, but then it rained today, so. Okay, here's where the flagpole is going to be going very soon. Furniture, actually, we have a truckload of it arriving tomorrow, and I'm going to place it in one of the carpeted rooms, and then we're going to hold our breath for a moment while we get the rest of the place. The flooring has to be in so that we can have the furniture company assemble and install. So we'll be doing that as soon as the floors are ready. Tech is going to be making connections starting next week because the electricity has been going through its paces. What they try to do is fail the electricity so they can find where the weak spots are. And after they've finished, the electricians have finished doing that and troubleshooting, then our technical department with SSUSD goes in and works their magic behind the scenes. So these kids, again, will not see it. They'll just have some excellence supporting them. That's my March update. Thank you, President Scott, Superintendent Moore, board, and public. If you have any questions.
Any questions? No questions? Thank you, Mr. Moore. Always
thank you.
appreciate the pictures. It's always nice to see things coming along.
Appreciate it.
We will move on to item 11, Business Administration. 11.1, approval of second interim report for fiscal year 24-25. Jennifer?
Good evening again. Good evening again. It is my pleasure to introduce to you Connie Williams, our Director of Finance and Budget. I want you to know that she has spent many, many very long days and many weekends putting the second interim budget report together for presentation for tonight. It is a very challenging job. We have a lot of moving parts, not just within our organization, but from our state and from our federal government. So all of that has to be factored in. And she is going to show you the fruits of her labor. So I shall pass it on to Connie.
Thank you. I don't have pretty pictures like Jeff.
You got robotics?
So in accordance with California Education Code 42130, 42131, no later than 45 days after the close of each reporting period, the school district governing board shall approve the second interim financial report and certify in writing that the school district is able to meet its financial obligations for the remainder of the fiscal year based on current projections for two subsequent fiscal years. The current reporting period concluded on January 31st, which means the second interim and related certification must be board approved by March 15th. The following presentation will provide an overview of the second interim budget. The agenda for this evening will cover the first interim budget versus the second interim budget, a summary of the general fund revenue and expenses, the multi-year projection, certification, and next steps. The ask of the board is to approve the second interim and related certification. The 3 available certifications are positive, qualified, and negative. Staff's recommendation is to certify as positive, which means the district will be able to meet its financial obligations for the current and 2 subsequent years. And on my next slide, I took suggestions from our first interim and put our words next to our numbers. The district's unrestricted general fund revenue is made up of 4 sources: LCFF, federal revenues, other state revenues, and other local revenues. I am also showing our contributions to restricted revenues, as those contributions to support restricted programs come from unrestricted dollars. Since first interim budget, our projected overall unrestricted general fund revenues have decreased. Our LCFF revenue has increased due to the final count of our unduplicated pupil count, which is at 59.95%, the highest it's been in a long time. Federal and other state revenue projections have stayed the same, and contributions have increased to cover projected special education expenses, as well as increased contributions to the Sierra Vista Center. Our overall unrestricted general fund expenditures have decreased $154,000 since first interim, which is less than 1%. As you can see, there are slight changes in most of the categories to reflect actual expenses and further review of new and postponed expenses. The district's restricted general fund revenue projection has increased $1.2 million since first interim. This is due to the alignment of federal and state revenues to the updated award allocations. Our other local revenue increased slightly due to the actual redevelopment agency funds and increased in Medevac billing. Contributions show the amount for the unrestricted side to cover expenses. Our projected overall restricted general fund expenditures have also increased. Salaries and benefits changed due to the alignment of unrestricted and restricted salaries to the appropriate resources. Books and supplies, and also services and other operating expenditures, have increased to reflect actual costs. Capital outlay has increased due to the purchase of a walk-in cooler for food service that was purchased through their grant, and the increase to the Sierra Vista Center for the Community Resource Center repairs. And now onto our multi-year projection. We are projecting our enrollment flat, but the projected COLA for each year will increase LCFF revenues. This growth is offset by lower local revenues, interest income, projecting lower interest rates and lower fund balances. Expenditures in salaries and benefits are projected to increase as a result of step and column in growing health benefits. This is offset by a decrease in service and operating expenses. This is an area that the team will continue to evaluate to determine how savings can be achieved with minimal impact to student programs. Even with the reduction in services and other operating expenses, you can see over the next 3 years, we are projected to continue to deficit spend, and our reserves will go from 11.61% to 5.09%. Here is our restricted general fund multi-year projection. We are projecting to hold steady in our revenue and expenses. The restricted general fund ending balance is decreasing as we expend carryover and one-time grant funds. Certification of second interim. As you can see, the district can meet its financial obligations for the current fiscal year and the next 2 fiscal years. Factors that may affect the current budget projections: actual attendance rate versus projected, out-year COLAs, actual expenditures and department and site budgets throughout the year, and the governor's budget May revision. The next steps. We will attend the governor's budget May revision for 25-26 and adjust accordingly. We will have a public hearing on LCAP and budget in May of 2025. We will adopt the LCAP and budget in June of 2025. And it is recommended that the Sierra Sands Unified School District Board of Trustees approve the 24-25 second interim budget report as presented with a positive certification.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Mr. Rocco?
Yeah, just a few questions. I just wanted to make sure I was clear on some of the comments about some of these categories. You know, for example, when you say aligning unrestricted and restricted salaries to the appropriate resources,
So,
can you explain that a little more?
yes, so we have the Prop 28 funds. So for our music teachers, at the beginning of the year, some of those were in unrestricted. So each school is allocated a certain dollar amount. And so once that dollar amount is exhausted, then we have to shift it to the general fund. So that's what we were doing.
Okay. And then, yeah, the notes in the brief were very helpful, thank you. And then the other thing I saw was in our unrestricted side, 2 years out, we're down to a reserve of 5%, which is kind of, I think that's the bottom end that we've said we will accept. But it's a pretty steady drop, going from 11.6 to 5 in over 2 years. What happens in that third year? I mean, I don't know how much you've thought about it, but it kind of scares me.
Yes, we are always, each year, it seems like there are more and more awards, allocations, awarded to the school districts of restricted funds, and sometimes then we can shift those unrestricted dollars to the restricted side to help offset the unrestricted side.
And I think you'll see a pattern that this is often the case where you see it's harder to project 2 years out, so we're being as conservative and careful as possible. But chances are, when that year comes, we're actually going to be in a good shape, and it's always that 2 years out trying to guesstimate and project all of the expenses. So we adjust our budgets and tighten as necessary, and so that's our commitment, is to continue monitoring. We're not going to just spend freely. We're very thoughtful and careful to ensure that we're keeping an eye on the future as well as the current.
Okay, thanks. And again, just like Ms. Keep said, Connie, great job. I appreciate this. This is probably the cleanest that I've seen this from a understandability perspective in a long time. So thank you for everything you put into it.
Thank you.
And no, the slide presentation, I really enjoy that, to be able to follow it while you're speaking instead of just seeing it in black and white. So, any further questions or comments from the board?
No, I
staff, or committee?
appreciate spelling it out nice. Thank you.
We have a motion and a second. Brody will do your preferential vote.
Aye.
For the board, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? It's unanimous. We will move on to item 11.2, approval of resolution number 242425, adopting school fee justification study. Jennifer.
Move recommended action.
We have a motion. To hear a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments about the public hearing we had on the approval of the resolution of the school fees? From the board, staff, or community? Brody, how about a preferential vote there?
I think you had a.
Oh, did you have a question or a comment?
Oh, no.
Okay.
I only had one. I think one thing I caught in the earlier description is I think you mentioned that the hotel and motel fee was going to be .488 cents, and I think it's $0.488, in case anybody's listening and picking any of those things up, so.
It's actually 48.8 cents.
Right.
I fuddled that up completely, so yes. It's 48.8.
And I
And then
might
the
have-
self-storage was 2.8 cents.
Yeah, and I might have heard you wrong too, so, but,
Yeah, you didn't hear it.
I guess this last meeting, we don't care.
yeah, all right.
We're going to miss you, Mr. Rockwell. Brody, back to your preferential vote.
Aye.
For the board, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's unanimous. Move on to adopt, sure.
I just want to thank the board for approving this, as you all know, but just in case our community is interested, it is very important that we increase the school fees to the allowable rate, because that then makes us eligible for additional grant funding for the federal grants that we go for. It allows us to get facility and fiscal hardship funding and other things that it will qualify us for. So that is also one of the important purposes in doing this update, as we're going for an additional grant here in the very near future. This will help us be eligible for that funding. So thank you, board.
No, thank you. And historically, I know we've had this conversation. Historically, I know years on past that I've heard comments and concerns about this. Well, you guys aren't building new schools. Well, that was true years ago. Right now, we have so much going with all of our new schools that this makes absolute sense, so. Okay, moving on to 11.3, adoption of resolution number 252425 to increase school facilities fee. Jennifer.
Thank you. On January 24th, 2024, the State Allocation Board acted to increase the Level 1 statutory school fee amounts for both residential and commercial industrial construction
Move
pursuant.
recommended action.
Do I have a second?
Isn't this the second half of what we just
It's-
voted on?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments from board, staff, or community? We'll do the preferential vote from Brody.
Aye.
Thank you, sir. From the board, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's unanimous, unless you wanted to read the whole thing again.
Yeah, thanks.
Move on to 11.4, approve the Sierra Sands Unified School District Transportation Plan for home-to-school transportation reimbursement. Jennifer, your last one for the evening.
I'm going to start with the ask. It's recommended that the board approve the Sierra Sands Unified School District Transportation Plan for home-to-school transportation reimbursement. This plan came out with Chapter 52 statutes from 2022, from Assembly Bill 181, that, and then it was amended, that transportation can now be funded. And in order to do that, we had to create a transportation plan, and then we do our calculation based on the state formula. And what we find is that our plan will continue to serve our students that are TK through 6 and low-income students. Our Director of Transportation, Erica Kersey, wanted to make sure you knew that it was going to become more efficient, because we're going to be purchasing our bus planner software that comes with a magic wand, that when she tested it, it cut 42 minutes off one existing route. So our plan is to go forth and even improve on that. And then as far as the reimbursement goes, the calculation is based on 2023-24 actual transportation expenses, and the reimbursement amount for 24-25 is calculated at $672,493.20.
Move recommended action.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments from the board, staff, or community?
Will we have the opportunity, will that fancy software allow us to have more bus drivers, so we don't have these routes that don't run? Or-
No, but we are definitely working on a plan to increase the number of bus drivers we have, to increase training, and
Well, I know somebody that's not going to be on the board anymore that could probably work a side job.
that's a big commute.
Yes. I'll volunteer him.
Thank you, yeah. You'd have to approve me getting hired, though. So-
But no, that is definitely a priority for us, is to make sure we're following through to get the drivers. That's what we really need.
Thank you. Any questions, comments? We'll have a preferential vote from Brody.
Aye.
Board, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's unanimous. Thank you, Jennifer. We'll temporarily adjourn the regular meeting to conduct the in-year Kern Schools Finance Authority Board of Directors meeting. Item number 1, adoption of the agenda.
No changes?
Move on to item 2, approval of minutes of the regular meeting of February 20th, 2025. Any corrections? Minutes stand. We'll adjourn the in-year Kern Schools Finance Authority. Go back to the regular meeting. Move on to item 13, consent calendar.
Move 13, 1, 2, 4, and 5.
You're
I think
pulling
I
item
have,
3.
I think I have to abstain from number 3, so.
I'll move 3.
Well, we're going to have to, we're going to have to do two individual votes if he needs to.
You're on.
So we have a motion for 13, 1, 2, 4, and 5, correct?
Brody cannot vote on 5.
So do you want to change your motion to
1, 2, and 4? Can Brody vote on 2?
Yes.
He can? Okay. Then I'll amend my motion. I will move 13, 1, 2, and 4.
1, 2, and 4. We have a motion, do we have a second?
A motion.
Second?
Second,
We have a
yes.
We have, so
So the only,
we'll do the preferential vote from.
can I make a comment? quick?
Yes, you may.
So on 13.2, there's a very sad item on it for me. It's got Mr. Paul Delbick as somebody leaving the district, and I hate the fact that you didn't wait on this one more month, so I didn't have to vote and approve this, because I'm not happy that I'm approving it, but, you know, Paul's been a phenomenal SELPA director for us for the whole time he's been here. It's been an honor.
But you know he is a Dodger fan.
It's baseball, it doesn't really matter.
Any further questions or comments? We'll do the preferential vote. Brody?
Aye.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's unanimous. Move on to item 13.3, classified personnel. Do we have a motion to move that?
Motion. Recommend action.
Second? Anybody?
Second, yes.
We have a motion and a second, and Brody can vote on this one, though, correct? Yes. So we have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments from the board, staff, or community? Brody?
Aye.
Board, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any, oh, and abstain, yes,
I abstain.
yes. So, 3 yeses, 1 abstain. And now we'll move on to item 13.5.
Move 13.5.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. We'll have Brody hang tight on this one. Board, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's unanimous. Item 14, future agenda. Any future agenda items? Well, I'll make sure I do the launch since I missed the good times.
Well, I think from a future agenda perspective, I'd like to see the board meetings go an hour or 2 longer.
And we're going to call you when you go back
From here
east.
on
Yes,
out.
we're going to make sure you're watching. So, launch is, I can't change the direction of the wind, but I can adjust my sails to always reach my destination. That was by Jimmy Dean.
Jimmy D.
Move on to final 16, adjournment. The next regular meeting of the Board of Education will be April 17th, 2025. Happy Friday coming on up, and enjoy all the snow on the mountains. Yeah, yeah.